welcome, taking the
Yes,
opportunity to join me on this chat. So, first of all, let me can you introduce yourself?
sure. So my name is Jennifer Garcia, and I work in HR, and I'm a certified human resource leader, which is just a professional designation in our industry. For most of my career, I have worked in the auto industry and love it, actually, because it's one of those industries that not many people fully know about, or they sometimes skim over. And I've spent a majority of my time in car dealerships, and I'm currently working for a global corporate organization as the employee experience manager.
Okay, that's nice. So
Yeah,
you got most of your experiences working at the dealership level.
I did. And actually, it was really nice because I actually didn't start in HR at the dealership level. I was a customer service representative. I was a warranty admin clerk. I did some minor accounting tasks. So I really got to know different departments, and it gave me a whole new appreciation for what people do, and also made me a better individual in HR because I had a little bit of understanding of what people did in the dealership and a new appreciation for their roles.
Oh yes, yes, definitely. Because one of the one of the mantra I grew up understanding while working in a dealership, based on my experiences, was respect for people. Because people are used at all times as a strategic part of growing the business and operating the dealership all on a regular basis. Meaning, like, you have to use people in order to make a strategic move in elevating yourself and getting them to understand, getting the various competencies, getting their various competencies as well. And at the same time, no, you get them to understand the process and try to improve those process. But let me not interject. Please continue.
No, that's okay. I agree with you. I mean, people are a necessary ingredient, right, for every organization. What's nice about HR is that so many employees serve external customers, right? Where
Yes,
HR has the opportunity to serve the internal customers.
yes.
So we support the business, we're still just as strategic, but we also have that opportunity to really support the internal customers serving the external customers.
Yes, definitely. We have our internal customers and our external customers, and that is also a factor, which is stakeholder satisfaction.
Mhm.
But compare. I don't want to interject too much, but how do you compare the dealership role to what you're doing now?
Yeah. So dealership and what I'm doing now is definitely a little bit different. I'm
Yeah.
working for a company that's on the Toronto Stock Exchange,
Hmm.
and I work in a global environment, right? So currently my company has over 1 million cars on the road. I
Okay.
work with employees in Australia, New Zealand, mostly in the US, which is different for me, especially when it
Hmm.
comes
Hmm.
to employment law.
Yeah.
Uh, so different experience, but great experience. And I think my background in the dealerships really helped me with this role.
Yes.
I think there's similarities too, because we see different trends happening, which you'll probably want to talk about later, right? But the rise in electric vehicles is huge.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
You
Especially in
know,
trucking now, it's heading to trucks right now.
Right. And not just that, but also the service requirements, no matter if you're in a corporate company with cars on the road or in a dealership. I mean, people need service, right? Cars are
Yes.
being built better, but they still
Yes.
need maintenance and preventative maintenance. So,
Yes.
yeah, so some differences, but some similarities for sure.
Yes, because the auto industry, it keeps the economy moving, believe it or not. And a lot of people take it for granted, not knowing the intricacies that are involved
Yeah.
in the day-to-day activities, whether you're in fleet management or you're at the dealership level. It goes both ways. But let me go a little bit more into your experiences because I mean it sounds
Yeah.
so fun. How Based on where you were, how has operations changed since you last started out at that level?
Yeah. So, oh my goodness. I think two things have changed: the auto industry, first of all, and
Yes.
HR and how they align. When I started in HR at the dealership level, I didn't know of many car dealerships that actually had HR, to be honest. It
Okay.
was a fairly new concept. I think things were changing in the world. More stricter legislation was coming in. Organizations were trying to develop a more professional persona and trying to
Hmm.
better themselves. and the world in general was just becoming a little more corporate and formal.
Yes.
And I think for many car dealerships, the HR representative or having someone in HR was a necessary next step, but also a value add next step as they really
Yes.
started thinking about their overall strategies. So
Yes. Yes.
that was the first thing. And I think there has always been this um, concept is the wrong word or perception of what car dealerships are. And so you think of the traditional car dealership, and we have all seen those YouTube videos of what a car dealership is, and that person coming out with the cigar to the yard, kind of
Yes.
thing. So it was dealerships were trying to get away from that, and
Yeah.
dealerships were becoming dealer groups, right? So they
Yes.
need
Yes.
some
Yes.
kind
I've
of
seen that brand management they call it.
brand management, exactly. So they were becoming groups, and they also needed some kind of standardization and formalization so
Yes.
that employees were treated similarly at different dealerships, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, but then I also think talent or people in general, employees, it was getting harder to engage employees and retain them. So I think by adding HR, it brought a diverse talent or or multiple capabilities for an organization, right? Because I
Hmm.
handle as a certified HR professional, health and safety legislation.
Yes.
We take lead on employment legislation, but also things like fun things like engagement and culture initiatives,
Hmm.
finding the right talent, right? Succession and
Yeah.
workforce planning. So HR is so multifaceted that it helps an organization in many ways.
Yes, yes. I'm learning so much just by sitting here speaking to you. I can imagine my audience right now. I mean, yeah, you were right. The HR plays a pivotal part because the HR manager is right there along with the CEO, right? The CEO is the one who drives the direction in which the company wants to go. They are the ones who determine the vision, the value, the mission of the company, right? And legislate the action plan and the processes that everything needs to be done in order to move the dealership from one level to the next.
Yeah.
Whether you have a 2 year midterm plan or a 5 year long term plan, then
Mhm.
that is important. But the HR department and the HR manager, the HR director is the one who drives that process, ensuring that the staff is competent enough, is at a particular competence in order to understand the processes and to ensure that the work is being done, right?
Yeah.
But
And I also
let,
think, oh,
sorry, go ahead.
that's okay, Chris. I was also just going to say, I think by having HR at the leadership table too, or within an organization, you're showing your employees that people are part of the success, right? Part of the
Yes,
plan, part of the strategy, part of the success. And
yes,
we, as a company from the top down, have you in mind.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a top down initiative. I learned that when I was in management, well, moons ago. So, but what are some of the challenges you faced when you were at the dealership level?
Yeah, I think similar to other industries, right, is finding the right talent, finding the right people for the right positions.
Yeah.
Again, historically, car dealerships and any kind of dealership actually has always looked for the experience. They've always
Yes.
wanted people for the easy fix, right? If you're a parts advisor at one place, then you can come work at any dealership. And
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the case. But I also think people were leaving the industry and not as many people were entering the industry. So
Hmm.
finding the right people for the right position and getting people exposed to the automotive industry is really important.
Yeah.
Um, and then, once you have the right people, how do you keep them engaged and interested and enjoying what they do?
Hmm.
Um, because in the long term, right, one, they're going to be the people who refer the talent.
Yeah.
If they enjoy what they do and you keep them engaged and learning and growing, they're going to refer other people to join the organization, but also when they believe in the product and believe in your company, they're going to bring most of the customers,
Yes.
right? If you have 100 employees and everyone refers one family a year, that's 100 extra cars a year to sell, right? Or 100, like, you just think it like in business sense, it makes sense when you treat your employees right.
Yes, it does.
Oh,
It does. Because the employee, you can either have a disciple or a terrorist. That's a terminology that they always use.
Those are a
And
little extreme.
oh well, it's a third world concept. Believe it or not, you can turn a employee into a disciple who will follow you and understand and know exactly, and you gain their trust, right?
Yeah.
Or you can do things in a way that's they don't like you. They become a terrorist. They sabotage you. They become lazy. They become complacent. So there are ways and means of trying to keep them motivated most of
Mhm.
all, right?
Yeah.
And to get them to buy into the vision as to where you're taking the company. So
Uh,
it's a buying concept for everyone.
yeah. And trust is huge, as you said, right?
Yeah,
I think there's no engaged employee or no engaged individual if there's no trust in the organization.
exactly, exactly.
Their products, you believe in the vision of the company and what they do, but you have to have that trust that you're part of that plan.
Yes, yes, it boils all the way down to communication. It has to be clear. It has to be concise,
Yeah.
right? But let me keep picking your brain because as long as I have you here,
Yeah.
the other question I want to present, what are, based on your experiences, what are some of the recommendations and suggestions you would have for dealerships now that you're on the outside looking in, but
Yeah.
it's not much different from what you're doing now, but I suspect that with all the experiences you have attained, and you have traveled, you have seen other dealerships outside of our hemisphere, how they operate. And I suspect that you'll actually have like best practices and the way how we do things, and you try to customize the various concept, what works there, and formulate it based on our legislation here. As you know, legislation changes from country to country, right? You don't want to bring something from another region and it doesn't apply to our laws here. So everything is protected, right? Workers have rights. But let me go back to the original question. I'm rambling all the way. What are some of the recommendations you would
Yeah,
have?
for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, again, I think many things apply to many industries, but specifically with the automotive, I mean, business is a disruptive world, right? Things
Right.
change so quickly, so drastically. We've
Yeah.
seen that with COVID. I mean, wow. Whoever thought we were going to go through a pandemic, honestly?
Right.
I'm traveling the US one weekend. I'm supposed to go to California for a conference the next thing you know, everything's shut down. Like it's just incredible. So I think COVID was a great learning for many organizations.
Hmm.
Um, and our recommendation is keep learning, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're stagnant and you think something's working, and if you don't think outside the box and how to continuously improve it, your
Hmm.
company isn't going to succeed, right?
Yeah.
So I think can have that continuous learning atmosphere or culture, and allow openness. So if someone has a suggestion or feedback, listen to it, right? It may not be feasible, it may not be great,
Yeah.
but if you don't listen, then some of the best solutions and ideas, especially from employees, aren't going to be heard. So
Yes. Yes.
I would say some recommendations or suggestions I have is, make sure that profits and your business strategy and vision plus customers plus employees is really what I feel are the necessary ingredients for success.
Yes.
Um,
Definitely.
those
Definitely.
things-
Especially at the dealership level.
yeah, when one of
You,
those
you
is missing,
yeah.
I just don't think you can have a full or success in general. Yeah.
Right, right, right. Because it's as it's if you're not growing, you're dying. That's basically what it boils down to,
Yeah.
right?
So it's
And you can't remain stagnant. You have to be continuously improving the way you do things and the way you operate. But you mentioned COVID just now, and it has opened the eyes into way how businesses businesses are strategically finding innovative ways to
mhm.
operate and get around. But outside of COVID, if COVID never happened, how would we prepare for ever changing market? What would be your suggestions?
Yeah, I think consider all those ingredients, right? You need a strong leader or CEO that has a vision, but keeps all those necessary ingredients in mind: customers, employees, and the bottom line, right? The stakeholders, the bottom line, the shareholders.
Yeah,
I think if you don't have avenues in place already, make sure there's avenues in place to have employee feedback. Um,
right.
the suggestion box is great, but really in a digital world, how many people use it? Let's be honest. Right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Is there a way to text things in? Is it through team meetings, right? Like if someone's giving a suggestion at a team meeting, which most companies or departments should have on a regular basis.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
around one time, you know, what are we doing with that information? How is it going to the top? How is it
Hmm.
being shared? How is it even being considered? So
Yeah,
if there's not avenues in place, I think that's really important so that employees can provide feedback and
yeah.
not just to their direct supervisor, but I also think to the top, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes leadership can be great at the top, but if they lose sight or, you know, communication is changing as it goes up the ladder,
Yeah.
I think true great ideas are sometimes missed.
Yes, that is so true. But if one suggestion is that one could make the suggestions or ideas as you speak as a part of their profile,
Yep.
right? You recommend you request that they give us ideas. They submit ideas on a regular basis, at least two or three per month, right? And then you look at the best one to see what fits, what will work, what will not work at the same time. But what is your emphasis on training